rocking.
Is this where the damn drumming and the music kicks in?
Yeah.
What is going on, everybody? Each and every single one of you, hello and welcome to On the Pipe Podcast. I'm your host, as always, Tyler Shepherdson, and today is Tuesday, August the 15th, 2023, years after zero, and we're back in action for another episode of OTP Tuesday. So thank you for being here. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for tuning in and listening to the number one source of news in the off-road racing world, On the Pipe Podcast. Appreciate you being here. Appreciate you listening. Appreciate you following along. And appreciate your patience as we continue to work through this segment of life. A lot of stuff going on, a lot of stuff not going on, and that is racing. We are still not back to the full schedule, but we are just a couple weeks away. Depending on what series you race, we are the week of the TKO, the Tennessee Knockout Hard Enduro International event happening this weekend at the Trials Training Center in Tennessee. No telling what kind of faces you might see out there, what kind of people you might see out there. I do intend on going down to the TKO Enduro this year. Last year was the first time I ever went down for the TKO, and Hard Enduro is hard. And not only is Hard Enduro is a whole other spectacle all in itself. You walk around that place, there's 14 different languages being spoken throughout the pits. It is the most diverse race that I've ever been to. And the stuff that they're riding up is gnarly. Like, it doesn't make sense to be able to walk up half the stuff that they're riding motorcycles up. So it was a really cool event. I was super pumped on it. Got a hold of the Beta Boys. The Beta Boys are going to be down there. They're going to be supporting Johnny Walker. And who else knows who's going to show up? I'm telling you. You don't know who's going to be there. You don't know who's going to be on Betas. You don't know who's going to be on any other bikes. What GNCC guys are going to come up. I mean, there's no telling. So if you want something fun to do this weekend, maybe head on down there. And that might be the best free advertisement I've ever done on this show. I'm just legitimately excited about going to check it out. Once again, we'll be down there filming and putting up the YouTube videos, so be on the lookout for that. But speaking of advertisements, as always, I want to let you guys know that Beta Motorcycles is the official manufacturer of OTP. They've been family-owned and operated since 1905. They manufacture enduro, trials, dual sport motorcycles, and they're all known for their premium quality and rideability. Beta motorcycles are the best looking bikes on the market, and they back it up with their superior performance. See what the buzz is about. They're going to be in Supercross next year, Motocross next year. They signed Benny Bloss. They signed Colt Nichols. It's going to be a good year. Good year for Beta. We're happy to be involved with them and happy they're still in our corner. BetaUSA.com for more information, available models, and to find a dealer near you. This episode, as always, is brought to you in part by our good buddy, Zach Tussle at Raymond James Financial. Zach Tussle lives just down the road from me in Denver, North Carolina. Zach Tussle is a racer and a financial advisor that can help you win when it comes to retirement and financial planning. Spoiler alert, financial planning includes planning now for retirement. You get started with Tussle today. You 18 to 25-year-olds invest a little bit of money, and then when you go to retire, you got $1 million you can retire on. It really is important, and it really can add up like that. I know you're not thinking about when you're 59 to 65 right now, but you will be that age someday, and then you'll be thankful that you had a buttload of money that has been working for you and making money off of your money. Hit up Zach Tussle and find out how you can do that. Financial Advisors, DenverNC.com. Now is the perfect time to do it. You still got time to get stuff in that account before the end of the year and watch that money grow. And Zach Tussle is the first recommendation that I would recommend to manage your money. Also, OTP screen printing. We're in business. I would say send all of your t-shirt needs to OTP screen printing, but if you're an avid listener of the podcast and you are one of the people that are mad at me for not putting out shows regularly these past couple of weeks, then maybe you might want to find another screen printing business, because I will admit that has taken a lot of my time. But because of that, we got the finest quality t-shirts that you can possibly have. So if you own a company, or you need t-shirts for your company, or you happen to be the person in charge of ordering t-shirts for your company, or maybe you're just super nice to them and bring them snacks at work every now and then, tell them about OTP screen printing. Hit me up. I can make your t-shirts, whether you need 24 made or whether you need 500 made, 1,500 made, however many you need made, we can do it. OTP screen printing. It's going to be top notch. It's going to be good stuff. Let me know how I can help. That should do it for all of our advertisements for the time being. Still working on some things coming up here soon in the future of OTP. We are open for 2024 deals. But like I said, I kind of alluded to it on the last show. Really got to figure out what direction we're taking this whole show. We'll get into that more later. Right now, going on is not the Bite GP series. That is a question I get asked about quite a bit, so I'll go ahead and clear it up. Everything fell through. And when I say everything, I mean everything. We had a couple manufacturers on board for rider contingency. Shout out KTM, shout out Husqvarna, shout out Gas. They did get on board, and they were going to offer contingency. But I kind of alluded to it before, man. I don't want to start a podunk series, for lack of a better terms. I don't want people to come spend their hard-earned money to put $1 million gallons worth of gas to come in their vehicles to park at my race, to be in my race, if it is not going to be a spectacular event. And so that's what it came down to. Could I have put together some races this year? Probably. Would they have been national quality, out of the gate races that everybody and their mama and them would be talking about? Possibly. But given the late start and everything that went into it, kind of trending more towards the no. So we're trying to regroup, build things up for next year. I do firmly believe in it. I do firmly believe that it might be the secret sauce that can revitalize the industry and put more money in riders' pockets, and also put more product in the hands of amateurs, and get this sport in front of more eyeballs. People aside, companies aside, series aside. These riders, all of these off-road riders, are some of the most badass athletes on the face of this planet. And I don't say that lightly. I mean, you look at every other sport, from football to hockey to baseball to golf to darts, bowling, bull riding, whatever. Even motocross and supercross. Yes, that is high risk. Yes, that is dangerous. No, they're not doing it for 3 hours between trees. It is insane. These are endurance athletes. These are extreme athletes, all bundled into one. And the amount of work and energy and effort and risk that goes into this sport is really second to none when you think about it. It really is second to none. You look at all these other things, they train for a long time and then they have one event. These races are happening almost every single weekend throughout the year, and these off-road riders are some of the most deserving professional athletes on the face of this planet. So, long story long, they are not marketed properly. They're just not. You look at the folks running it. People market their series. People market what their series is. People market, hey, come race my series. People market their series. People do not market riders. You will not see somebody with a third party marketing a rider, building up a rider, helping a rider's brand, promoting that rider like you do in other sports. Look at what Tiger Woods did for golf. Look at what Rory McIlroy is doing for golf. Look at what Michael Jordan did for basketball and the NBA. Look at the way that the world and the organizations rallied around those individuals to make them into superstars that you could not miss watching. LeBron James in basketball as well. A whole slew of NFL players. You see them marketed, that draws you in, that captivates you with that individual person. That does not happen in this sport today. And like I said, they just deserve all the credit in the world, from the women's pro classes to the XC1 class, XC2 class, XC3 class, Pro 1, Pro 2, Premier classes, 450 class, whatever you want to call it, wherever they are classified at. These riders deserve more exposure. They deserve more people seeing and recognizing what they're doing, and all of that ultimately transforms to more money. Now, that is where the Bite GP comes in. And the pro riders are the spectacle. The amateur riders are the bread and butter. I mean, I don't think that's anything that I think everybody knows that. I think everybody can see that. And so it's really having a plan to cater to both sides of those, to get more exposure on the pro riders and get more exposure on the amateur riders. You can't pay the amateur riders, but you can provide them the best racetracks, the most fun, the most support, and that kind of thing. Riders, it's all about eyeballs, and that brings in everything else that falls in line with it. So I don't want to say that the By GP series is dead, because I do firmly believe that I can make it happen. I just got to get it all together. And like I said, I don't want to be another local series. I don't want to be another series down the road. I want this to be different. I want this to be special. I want the people to race it to be special, to feel special. And I want this thing to be the next big thing in the sport. I mean, there's no other way to say it. And you might roll your eyes by hearing me saying that, but I firmly believe that there's a hole for that, and I seriously believe that we have the secret sauce to do it. So thank you so much to everybody that has supported the series, or I guess at this point the idea of the series, getting a head start and really building into this contract season coming up. Really, like summer through October, November is where a lot of budgets are made for the following year. So hopefully we can hit the ground hard, hit the ground running, and let some other people see the vision as well and get this thing rolling for next year. So, yeah, like I said, I wish it could happen. We had everything lined up. The last thing I was clinging on to was that Labor Day weekend. It ended up not working out with the venue that we had planned, which is a very, very unfortunate event, because it would have been awesome. And but hopefully we can salvage that and make it on the docket for next year. So now that we've got that out of the way, we do got a little bit of sad news to report here, a little bit of sad things to talk about. First and foremost, there can be things that happen that transcend the sport, that transcend the world, that transcend even just your small little niche portion, our small little niche portion of this sport, which is off-road motorcycle racing. Very close and near to dear to our hearts was some news that broke over the past couple weeks, and I got to be honest, I didn't know if it was my place to say something about it. So I thought about not bringing it up. I thought about not talking about it publicly, but privately. It has been something that's been very heavy on my mind. It has been something that I've thought about in immense detail. And at the end of the day, I'm not sure if it's my place or not, but it is something that I felt compelled to come on here and talk about. And that is the Molander family. And you may have seen this, and I think it's honestly surprising to me the amount of people that haven't seen this. But for those that don't know, the week after Loretta's, the week after Daytona Supercross, they do it too. But then the week after Loretta's, ATV Motocross comes in, and they race on the Loretta's racetrack as well. There was a family, the Molander family. They were traveling down Interstate 81 en route to Hurricane Mills, Tennessee, to the Loretta Lynn's racetrack. In the vehicle was Dane Molander. That was the athlete's name. Dane was the 2021 Amateur Rider of the Year for ATV Motocross, and he was the 2022 ATV MX Pro-Am champion last year. So they were headed down to that ATV MX event down at Loretta Lynn's, and the family of four were all traveling in an RV. Donald Molander, Kimberly, Miranda, and then Dane. That is when, tragically, their tire popped, causing them to lose control of the vehicle. The RV went across the median into oncoming traffic, where it was met by a semi-truck driver head-on. I honestly get choked up even thinking about it. I did a rant a couple episodes about how short life can be and how precious life can be and how much these moments matter and how much people in our lives matter and how much experiences matter and how I've found a great deal of release of pressure in my life, or I guess a way out of depression, anxiety, things like that, and that's enjoying experiences. It's not worrying so much about all the things that are troubling, and then really go out and live life to the fullest. And it's something that's really helped me, and I think that's why this story hits me so hard. And like I said, I literally like trying not to get choked up just talking about it on here. I didn't know the Molander family. I don't follow the ATV side of the world as closely as dirt bikes. I mean, I don't even follow pro motocross. I haven't watched any motocross races, so I haven't watched any ATV motocross races either. But this is a family of 4 heading down to do something that they love, and all 4 of them gone in an instant. And the semi-truck driver actually ended up losing his life as well. So that is 5 souls that were injured or that lives were taken from us in this incident. And it's not a dirt bike versus 4-wheeler thing. It's not an off-road versus motocross thing. This is a human thing. This is a tragic incident that happened. And this motorsports community is very small to begin with. So stuff like this just it really hits home. You never know what can happen. There's 80-something people that have lost their lives in the fires in Maui, Hawaii. I'm trying not to go on a really long rant about this, but my sincerest condolences and heart goes out to everyone that knew the Molander family, all of their extended family. I mean, this isn't a complete family unit just gone in the blink of an eye on the way to heading to do something that we all do every weekend. I mean, all of us are driving to races every single weekend. We're driving to tracks every single weekend. Obviously, Chris and Cody Gregg is something that came to my mind as soon as we heard about this. They lost their lives by a flat tire in an RV on the way to the Georgia GNCC just a few years ago. And, man, it's just life is truly just so precious. And so I just wanted to take a moment and acknowledge them if you had not heard about that. I think it's important that we get out there about the family, about their accomplishments, about what they were all doing together. And like I said, my sincerest condolences goes out to the Molander family and everyone that was involved or heard of or was affected by this tragic accident that happened. So, yeah. That's, like I said, I debated on whether or not to talk about that just from being a stranger's perspective on the outside. But like I said, I felt compelled to talk about it because it's something that resonated with me ever since I heard about it and like reading the news articles about it. But just goes to show you, I mean, everything can be gone in an instant. And so not to take anything for granted, not to take the people that care for you for granted, the people that you care about for granted. Don't be afraid to tell a friend you love them. Don't be afraid to tell somebody you love them, because you can't take back what you didn't say. And you can't take back the things that you didn't do. So just another reminder of how precious life can be. So yeah, there it goes. So that being said, there is still a lot of stuff going on in the racing world that we can talk about. Racing is just around the corner before we get back to it, albeit this is a little bit shorter of a season after the summer break than what we were used to. Just 3 GNCCs remained, a handful of national enduros, and I'm pretty sure all the sprint enduro series are done. Nope, Full Gas. Full Gas has 2 more races of the full gas as we know it. Who knows what full gas is going to turn into? But the full gas that we know of, ran by Josh Koscheck, is 2 rounds away from closing its doors as well. Obviously, full gas fell into a new ownership, changing the format, changing things up. So we are yet to see what is going to come of that. So the last full gases, as we know it, there's 2 more of them coming up. One of them falls on a weekend that there's not a Mid-East, not a GNCC, not anything else going on. So I plan to take my Beta motorcycle, 390RR, down to that full gas and go out and have some fun riding a dirt bike and racing with my buddies. So that will be the last one on November 4th. But there is one between now and then. I think it is on a Mid-East weekend. So unfortunately, I will be with – not unfortunately. It is very fortunate for me to be on a microphone at a Mid-East racing. But, yeah, schedules overlap. But even Mid-East, we're used to having a bunch of these after the summer break, and I think there's only 5 left after the summer break. So we got the ISDE that's going to be coming up, and then before you know it, it's going to be the next year. We're going to be crowning champions, and all sorts of stuff is going on. With that being said, there's a couple things to get out into the open, some things to talk about, some noteworthy events that are happening over the summer break. Maybe you are enjoying your time on the lake or at the beach or on vacation or with family or whatever you may be doing and haven't kept your ear to the ground with what's going on in the off-road world. First thing that we got is a couple of injuries that we want to give our sincerest T's and P's out to. First one, Rui Barbosa. This is one that hit pretty deep. And the reason that it did is because I am absolutely gutted to talk about the next 2 people that we have to talk about. First of all, Rui Barbosa is a fella that we have talked about on the podcast several times before. Rui Barbosa is here from Chile, racing and trying to make his dreams come alive. Now, we've seen Rui Barbosa put together a heck of a season this year. We've had a lot of talks about him because he not only got his first career XC2 win, he got his second career XC2 win in the very next race. He's been on the podium the last couple of rounds to close out and go into summer break. He was 3 points back from the XC2 points lead. Liam Draper out in front, 194 points. Rui Barbosa was in that number 2 spot, 191 points, followed by Gus Reardon, 177, and Cody Barnes right there with 176. Now, Rui Barbosa was out riding and sustained injuries during a practice crash. Now, as soon as it popped up, I was immediately gutted because Rui Barbosa, like I said, it's hard to find someone more grateful and more appreciative for everything he's got going on than Rui Barbosa. So that was the first thought. But he ended up tearing his Achilles and fracturing his ankle. So a broken ankle and a torn Achilles is going to sideline Rui Barbosa and end his 2023 championship hopeful campaign. He's been on a tear. He's been riding really well. And I mean, just think about it for a second. If you were in his shoes, and I don't want to say just in his shoes because there's a lot of shoes that this fits right now. Rui Barbosa coming from Chile over here to chase this dream. Giving up everything, giving up family, giving up friends, giving up everything that you know, and in his case, giving up a language to come up here and race and do what we do every single weekend. People come from around the world for that opportunity. Rui Barbosa is one. Look how many Australians we got out racing. Josh Strang, Gus Reardon, Will Reardon, Lyndon Snodgrass, Mason Simmons, Taylor Jones, Mackenzie Tricker, Rachel Archer from New Zealand, Liam Draper. Jack Edmondson has been over and raced. And you can even go back even farther in history and find all the people that have taken that risk to come over here and race. And then we've seen it come to fruition. Josh Strang came over and won a GNCC overall championship. Won a full gas overall championship. Hadn't had a lot of success and made a career out of it and started a family and everything over here as a result to him taking that risk and coming over. Mackenzie Tricker, she's won championships. Taylor Jones, dominated for a few years there and won champions, and still one of the best riders in the sport. Rachel Archer comes over, gets a championship, well on her way to another championship. The point is that is the ultimate success. When you give up that much and risk that much to come over, the success has to feel even greater. Lyndon Snodgrass, I don't know if I mentioned him, but I meant to. He comes over, wins that XC2 championship last year. And to see that taken away, a practice crash, and like, I don't know, it'd be tough to come back with a torn Achilles. I saw Tomac is already like walking and stuff, but that's a major one. So even if that happened like at the beginning of summer break, I still don't think there's any chance you can come back that quick from that. I'm sure that thing's gonna be sore and tender coming back next year, but to be in the mix, to be that close, to win those races, to have that success, and to see the passion that he puts into it, and I'm just talking about him right now because that's who we're talking about. Everyone puts passion into this. I understand that. But given his situation, super bummed to see that. So our T's and P's are out with Rui Barbosa as he recovers from that torn Achilles and broken ankle. And then another one, even closer to home, Thad Duvall, bad Thad Duvall from West by God. And by God is what I was saying when I opened up my Instagram the other day and saw Thad sitting in a hospital bed. Thad has always been one of my favorite riders. I'll just go ahead and put it out there. And he's had a tough run at the luck here lately. Thad Duvall was a rider that in Caleb's greatest years, Thad Duvall was the one there pushing him. Thad Duvall was the one on Caleb's heels while they were 3 minutes ahead of third place. Thad Duvall is a guy that you look and compare it to other major sports, but like if Caleb Russell didn't exist, how many championships would Thad Duvall have? And I know that's easy to say, and I know it's easy to go back and forth on that. You can say the same thing for a lot of the XC1 riders, but at those times where Caleb was really pushing the limit, Thad was the one that was giving him the most honest go at that. And then bad luck strikes. The injury bug strikes. We've seen Thad go through all sorts of injuries and spend time off the bike. We see him change teams. We see him change teams again. We see all this stuff happening. And then last year, first round of the year, coming back off of an injury, breaks his pelvis. Out for the year. Comes back, races a little bit after that, but then at the beginning of this season, I think he had a preseason crash that broke a shoulder or a hand or a wrist or something. Like, I don't think he came in at 100%, but then right before Bigger Buck, broke his scaphoid in his left wrist, and that sidelined him and took him off the bike for a while as well. So it's like you work that hard to come back from an injury, and he got that ride with Coastal, and he comes back, gets hurt again. And now, healing back up from that. I think on the last show or the show before that, I talked about how stoked I was to see Thad back racing the locals and riding with JoJo Cunningham and back on the bike. And, I mean, I'm pretty sure I gave praise to Thad for doing that. And then I opened up Instagram the other day, and Thad's laying in a hospital bed. Read the post. It's a fractured T3, T4, T5, and cracked T6 and T7, broken ribs, and a broken collarbone. And Thad said himself in a post last year that when he broke his pelvis at Big Buck last year, he's been around for a while. I hate to use the word old because none of these guys are old. None of these guys are even close to being old. And I think old is a term that gets thrown out too much, and I think it's a term that I think people have kind of orchestrated being old as a certain number. It's possible to compete late into your 30s, into your 40s. Graham Jarvis is still one of the best hard enduro riders in the world into his 50s. But Thad Duvall has one of the most tenures of that XC1 class. I think he's only like 33, to be honest with you, like 33, 34, like a couple years older than me. But last year, when you break that pelvis, you start thinking, is this the end of my career, or will I be able to come back from this? And I'm not speaking for Thad by any means. I have not even spoke to Thad about any of this. Just seen the stuff that he posts on Instagram, and he did post on Instagram. I remember thinking about the injury and thinking about how you come back from that. And then to see him get injured again, and now coming back from that, getting ready to close out the rest of the season, and now having such significant injuries to the back, to the ribs, to the collarbone. Man, that's another one. Like I feel for him. That's the risk of this sport. I mean, there's injuries that happen. But this is a gnarly one to come back from. So, wishing Thad, I'm not even going to say a speedy recovery. I'm going to say a full recovery, a full recovery to get him to come back, be on a motorcycle, to be racing alongside his son, Jacoby, and to be fully healed up and back in action and able to compete with the best in the sport. So T's and P's out to Thad Duvall as well as Rui Barbosa. And if there's some other offseason injuries that I don't know about, T's and P's to you too, but I might not know about it. Yeah. So got those out of the way. Silly season rumors. Let me tell you something. Today is August 15th, 2023. This might be one of the earliest that the silly season, I'm not even going to say rumor mill, because I have reason to believe that the things I've already heard are facts, because it seems like common knowledge with the people I talked about. Still don't know. I don't know. This is a developing situation, but I do have probable cause to believe that all of this stuff is accurate based off the multiple. And when I say multiple, I don't even mean two. Like more than two people that are not affiliated with each other and on completely different sides of the spectrum as far as the industry have all said that one of the pro teams on Pro Row is going to be changing. And one of the teams on Pro Row is going to become a 250 XC2 only team. Now, hearing that another team is dissolving, another team is taking over those bikes as well as their own bikes, but keeping it a 250 only deal. And this team may or may not have an XC1 rider that is already on contract with them. But it sounds like that XC1 rider has already found a new home on another team as well. Like I said, it's come from pretty credible sources, multiple sources. But until I can do a little bit of digging and confirm it, I'm not going to say the team, I'm not going to say the riders. But it's pretty crazy. It's also crazy to me that there can be so many XC2 only teams on Pro Row. Like, what's the resolution here? Because there might be 3 teams now that have semis on Pro Row that do not have an XC1 rider. And these are like full-time, like rider's not hurt. The rider's not on vacation. Like full-time, 3 teams only funding XC2 riders. Not only that, but the XC2 riders are making as much, if not more, than the XC1 riders. And the reason I'm looking at GNCC, because that is the premier series. We've talked about this. Everyone knows this. Contracts get signed to race the GNCC series. And then you race something else on the side. You don't get signed to National Enduro, and you can race GNCCs if you want. Unless you're Josh Toth. He has a cool schedule that exists to anybody known to man. He just did a hill climb. He's done all sorts of stuff. But for the average person, you sign a GNCC contract, and some riders have to race another series. Some riders can choose to race another series. But the money is for GNCC because that is the biggest series. That is the most prestigious series. That is the premier place to get your rider, your sponsors is at the GNCC series. So that is why I'm using terms like XC1 and XC2. But you got XC2 guys that are making more money, the same or more money than XC1 guys. You got XC1 guys that aren't even going to have rides. There are literally XC1 guys on the chopping block right now that might not have any sort of ride next year. But then you got teams on Pro Row with 250 only teams. Do you think a NASCAR hauler is going to show up to a NASCAR race and only fund, I don't know what it was the Busch Series. I don't know what it's called now. But the Saturday races. And then just turn around and leave on Sunday. Oh, we got nothing going on here. We're focusing all of our attention on them. You know what I mean? Or like, I don't know. When you're coming into a point where XC1 riders' jobs are on the line, there's 7 XC1 riders, first of all. And let's see. 2 of them, well, starting the season, 3 of them. Let me just make sure that's right. 4 if you want to get technical. We'll just go with 3. 3 are privateers. Stu started his own team, signed Ben Nelko. That's 2. Lane Michael, doing it on his own. And then some of the other XC1 guys are satellite guys. But you already got a limited amount of XC1 riders. And now you have teams that have 3 XC2 riders. That have 2 XC2 riders. If this other stuff is happening, there might be a team with 4 or 5 XC2 riders and no XC1 rider. It just blows my mind. But then if you go further than that, it says that in order to park on Pro Row, to have a semi on Pro Row, the rider has to finish in the top 10. There are semis on Pro Row that do not have a rider in the top 10. They're still on Pro Row, fielding a team of XC2 riders. It just doesn't make any sense. And I don't know the solution. We talked about it with Stu. We've talked about it on here several times before. I'm not saying that there is a solution, but I'm saying that could maybe be a problem as far as if you want the sport to grow and if you want to be the premier series or have the premier people. I mean, if you look at other series, some of the GNCC XC2 guys are forced to race the open or Pro 1 classes because of the rules and because of the wordings. And then I forgot where I was going with this. But you look at it, and I don't know. I don't know what the resolution is. Maybe it just doesn't make sense why you're making more money to race. I mean, when we got into that big old XC2 debate with Stu on here, he was very clear on one side, and then I was also like kind of playing devil's advocate and bringing up all the things of, hey, maybe you should stay in XC2. And a lot of those reasons were because you can make more money. You can get the same salary, and if you do well, you can get bigger bonuses than if you were to move up and race XC1. But now we got teams that are on Pro Row that have semis that are only funding XC2 riders. And I think that stunts the growth of the sport. Using Craig DeLong as an example again. Seeing him race for so long in XC2, moves up into XC1, has immediate success, and gets better. Craig DeLong is riding at a much higher level now and last year than he was in the XC2 class, and he's had success. And would he be that high up in the overalls and battling for a championship 2 years in a row if he stayed in XC2? Maybe, but likely not. But now it's like XC2 gets incentivized to stay into it rather than rewarded for moving up into the XC1 class. So what if there was no XC2? What if we went back to one Pro Row? And hey, if you think this rider is worth X amount of money and you want to invest this money into them, then why does it matter if they're XC1 or XC2? What if there's just one pro row? And then the jobs are for pro riders. You have a Pro-Am class in XC3 and use that as a stepping stone. You go from XC3 to XC1 instead of careers in XC2. I mean, it is cool to have another points-paying class, and it is cool to have an opportunity for more riders to make a living racing dirt bikes. But if there was one pro class, I think that would sort it out even more. And I don't know. I guess at the end of the day, those podium bonuses and podium shots are what drives the companies and the teams and the sponsors to want XC2 guys. But it's just hard to see the sport grow and progress with a handful of guys on the front row and then 20-plus guys on the second row. That's just my 2 cents. In today's economy, 2 cents can't buy you shit. So that's probably what my 2 cents is worth to a lot of people. But it's just something to worth noting. Like, what if there is an XC1 rider that is having trouble finding an XC1 ride because teams are fielding XC2 only teams? I mean, if you look at the rules, there's a lot of XC1 riders that could qualify to go race XC2. I mean, realistically, there is. And what if one of those XC1 riders goes down to XC2 and takes an XC2 contract, and then they go out and win? Everyone's going to cry foul. Everyone's going to be upset. Everyone's going to talk about it. But at the end of the day, using the same argument against them, if they can make a living, why wouldn't they? So maybe that's what it's going to take. Maybe it's going to take one of these XC1 riders take an XC2 deal and go down and see what happens. But I don't know. Just something worth noting. Once we get some more information, and I can confirm that, then maybe we'll revisit the subject. But for right now, this is a developing silly season rumor. And so for right now, we'll keep it at a rumor. That is allegedly what might be happening. What also might be happening are the things that we alluded to in the last episode. We're going to see some shakeups in the pro class. And we do still plan to talk to these people. So I'm still not sure if I want to break it now or wait until we break it with the actual rider, because both of these things are under wraps. Both of these riders have told me that I can go ahead and talk about it on here, but I think I'd rather hear from both of these riders. We got a filming project coming up with one of them to talk about it, and then we have a guest appearance by the other one to come and talk about what is going on with theirs as well. So I have it on my notes right here to talk about it. I have made it up on the fly that I'm not going to talk about it. We're going to let them talk about it. We are going to save the spotlight so you can hear it out of their own mouth. So still do have a couple big pieces of news coming out, and maybe that'll help us transition back into this race season. So we're back in your life. Got to get back consistent. Got to get back going. Got to get back doing OTP Tuesdays, and here we are on OTP Tuesday. Be a friend, tell a friend, let somebody know about On the Pipe Podcast. Follow us along on all the social medias. Hit us up, OTP Screen Printing, to get your shirts made. Go to financialadvisorsdenvernc.com. Talk to Zach Tussle about what he can do with your money, and check out a beta motorcycle near you. Thanks, everybody, for listening. We will see you next week.